Welcome to Advanced Vedic Mathematics course, Phase 2, Lesson 52. In this lesson, our focus is to remain upon Geeta, Chapter-15, Shaloka-2. Let us recapitulate that we are comprehending, glimpsing the Purushottam Yoga, the Uttam Purush Yoga, Purushottam Yoga, and Shaloka-1 has taken us to 210 units of transcendental content, which has entered the 8-directional frame, Eastern Purv, East window, cosmic window, and it had entered Creator's space through Eastern window and had manifested at the transcendental origin seat, where is a cavity, a transcendental cavity, enveloped by creative boundary of 10 components. So each component manifests the value 21 and total content which had flown in 4 space creative. So from 6 space there is flow of a transcendental content through 7 streams. The same enters Creator's space through its 8 cosmic windows, and the first phase has been that entry has been from the Eastern cosmic window, and it has completely fulfilled the entire creative boundary of 10 components of the transcendental cavity within Creator's space. One may have a pause here and have a revisit as that 4 space has 9 versions, Hypercube 4 has 9 versions, 9 geometries range, and further as that 4 space is having spatial dimensional order, and this makes value along both axes as 81. This value is also parallel with that the creative dimensional frame of a spatial order, 4 dimensions, and each having 3 space as an origin. So value 3 raised to power 4 is the value which transcends from the transcendental base, solid order, and same gets superimposed upon the spatial order of the Creator's space. This value 81, we have seen that the value which had manifested as the creative boundary of the cosmic window, 10 components, the total transcendental content which has fulfilled the boundary, and it is of value 210. Further, we have seen that the solid transcendence superimposition upon the spatial order is of value 81, and this total value 200 ton and 81 makes 291. This I am impressing upon as that when we will be revisiting the text of first shloka of chapter 15, and when we will count the TCV values letter-wise for the entire text of both parts of it, this value is going to be 291, and its organization is going to be 210 and 81. It is 291, and the composition of the text as it is, starting with the letters, making syllables, and then making words. There are in all 9 words, and the words in the manifested form in the creator's space, availability of his format, manifestation format of 9 geometries, for space of 9 geometries. It is this manifestation with a spatial order is having these 81 components which will be at the transcendental origin seat, entering the cosmic window, and at the creative boundary there is 210. 81 is making the solid order here, superimposed upon the spatial order. These are the features with respect to which we will be observing, comprehending in more details. So, for the present, Chapter 15, Shloka 1, as the first phase of the Purushottam Yoga, this yoga 49 plus 12, 61, as 30 plus 31, as H8 and small h8, 8 space as origin of a 7 space. 7 space is at the origin seat of 6 space, and from here has been a flow of a transcendental content through 9 streams, and the same enters the creator's space through its cosmic windows, and the first phase entry is from the east purv of value 21, and the same is having a complete manifestation for the creative boundary of 10 components, and as there is a seat and here there is an entry of 21, and so 21 into 10 is 210, while this solid origin gets superimposed upon the spatial order. This is dimensional frame of creator space, so origins 3 of for all the 4 spatial dimensions, making it value 3 is to power 4 is equal to 81. This has been the first phase of this yoga. Now the second phase is Shaloka-2. First of all, let us write the letters text, and once we are having a letters text, then we will translate it to numbers, and then we will reach at the sthapatya, for which we will see the features of content, full unit and half unit bodies. The text of Sutra 2 as well is of 9 words like 1, and the total number value here is coming to be 267. It is going to be an exercise to translate this letter's text. The letter's text one should write letter-wise. Adash ch udharv vam. It is the first word, and we will proceed sequentially with this text, and we'll see the 9 words will be leading us to numbers values 37, 47, and like that. This exercise of translation of the text into numbers text is first very important step. We have to learn how to translate it, and that would mean simply that each letter like A is to be translated as value 1, as is the TC value of this number. Like Do will lead to 6, Yo will lead to 1, and once we are proficient in this translation, then the second stage will be this number 267, the total TC value of the text of second shloka of chapter 15. Chapter 15 for shloka 1 has given us the value 291, which for Sthapatya had the organization this plus 81. This is in the context of a directional frame of total value 222. So the value which has entered the creator's space through the first cosmic window, Purv, is 210. And this value 210 is 12 less than the total manifestation of the 8-directional frame. And value 12 is equal to or is parallel to the 12 boundary components of the self-referral domain. So, within 4 space, the manifestation in the first phase of the transcendental content fulfilling the creative boundary, but 5 space itself is at the boundary of a 6 space. So this base will be requiring 12 value of the units of continents. So 6 space as origin of a 5 space and having transcendental boundary of 12 components would require 12 units for its manifestation over it 210 creative boundary, and total becomes 222. Let us have a pause and revisit the Shaloka 1 of total text value 291 having organization 81 plus 210 and 210 further being of the features 222 minus 12, and the 12 is parallel to the boundary components, transcendental boundary components of 6 space, and 6 space itself is the base as origin of a 5 space within creator's space. And it is this feature that the 12 value is here for this boundary, and then the creative boundary itself will be manifesting 210. So this is 210 plus 12 making 222, and it that way amounts to a manifestation of the 8-directional frame itself. So the first phase is as is the Shaloka-1 of Chapter 15 Purushottam Yoga, that it leads us to the 8-directional frame manifestation for 222, out of which 210 units are the manifestation of the creative boundary for the transcendental cavity within the creator's space at the center of the 8-directional frame. It is in this background that when we are having a flow of the transcendental content from the orb of the sun as 7 streams, and the content enters the creator's space through his eastern cosmic window, then it at the next phase enters within a creator's space enveloped within a creative boundary of 10 components, and same as value 21 for all the 10, 210, and the base of the origin itself of 12 components, and as a result there happens to be a manifestation of 8-directional frame. Let us have a further pause and update our PCB dictionary and Sthapatya referencer, which in the context of Chapter 15, Shaloka-1 will lead to that this frame 222 is 210 plus 12, and this is the value of the transcendental boundary of 6 space as origin of 5 space, and 210 is the value for the creative boundary of 10 components of the transcendental cavity. Once this is the attainment for Chapter 1, Shaloka-1, then we will enter Shaloka-2. Shaloka-2 text leads us to value 267. It is this value which is taking us to 45 more than 222, and 45 is equal to 23 plus 22. It is hypercube 6 and small body hypercube 6. This further amounts to the value of the self-referral origin of a 6 space. Still further, that this value as it is, when is to be taken with reference to the spatial dimensional frame of 4 space, it will be leading us to that it is quadruple dimensions, and when we have first square and then the value, we will see that it makes value 24. See, we are having a square, its components are 9. When the second component is synthesized with the first 6 more components follow, third again will contribute 6, and fourth quarter will add 4, makes total 25. And when it is taken to be a second manifestation because of a spatial order, then each of these quarters will have 25 each, and this way will make it 100. So total value 100 plus 45 is 145, which is equal to 29 into 5, and hence the second phase will be taking us to a step ahead, as that the creators of space with its transcendental origin, cavity at the seat of the transcendental origin. This cavity is enveloped by creative boundary. Creative boundary is having 210 units of transcendental, and then this hypercube 4 as hypercube 14 for second manifestation, as hypercube 4 is 2, 3, 4 and 5 of summation value 14, and hypercube 14 is having 29 versions, which is parallel to Brahma, and it is this value 29 for the seat of the transcendental origin makes value 145. Let us begin again. Let us have a fresh visit to what is the attainment going to be. The attainment of first phase as Shaloka-1 of total TC value 291, and for S2 is equal to 367. This value organized as 210 and 81. Here the value is being organized as 222 and 145, and 145 is organized as 100 plus 45. This amounts to that when there is a flow of a transcendental content from orb of the sun as 7 streams, and there is a transcendental content flow, the same enters the creator's space through his eastern cosmic window. After this entry, the second feature of this process happens to be that this entry within the creator's space is taking us to the transcendental origin, and the transcendental origin here, because of the transcendental cavity, has a creative boundary. This creative boundary is of 10 components, and each is having manifestation content 21. Total becomes 210 here. This number 210, this transcendental origin itself is having a base, 6-base base, and it is at the transcendental boundary stage. And these are 12 in number. Total is 222. This is the first phase. And in the second phase, the Shaloka-2, it has total value 367, out of which 267 enters the manifestation phase, and this again as 45 being more than 222 and its split is 23 plus 22, and same is hypercube 6, full unit and half unit. This together makes 6 space as origin of 5 space. See, at the initial stage, we were having entry within creator's space, transcendental cavity having creative boundary, and here we are having 6 space as the origin, and entire manifestation is within creator's space. This creator's space is having 8 cosmic windows. These 8 cosmic windows together are making 8 directional frame. So this 8 directional frame manifestation is the Sthapatya of Shaloka-1. And in this frame, we have seen that at the center, at the Kendra, there is a creator's space. Within creator's space, there is a transcendental origin, and the transcendental origin itself is having a self-referral origin. It is this self-referral origin which is H6 plus small h6. Its value is 45, and the same with 4 space as the dimensional frame of creator's space, which plays the role of dimension of a 6 space, and the manifestation for 9, 6, 6 and 4, which for repeated manifestation comes to be 25, 25, 25 and 25 is 100. And this is the attainment up till Shaloka-2. This is the sequential progress from Shaloka-1 to Shaloka-2. Shaloka-1 has 9 words, Shaloka-2 as well as 9 words. Here the total TC value is 291, here it is 367. This 291 gives us 210 plus 81, where 81 enters as 3 raised to the power 4 superimposed upon the spatial dimensional frame of a 4 space of 2 raised to the power 4. It is superimposed, and this way it goes in the dimensional frame itself. Now this reach is that we are having 8 directional frame as the attainment, and in this 8 directional frame we are having a center. At center we are having creator's space. Within creator's space there is a transcendental origin, and transcendental origin itself is having a self-referral origin, and it is this feature which is inherently there in this first phase and stage, and at second stage the reach is of this 6 space as the sixth space is going to be in the role of the origin of a 5 space, and this is of manifestation H6 and small h6 it is 22 plus 23, it is 45. And then we know that the spatial dimensional frame, which is of quadruple structural components 25, at the remanifestation, it takes us to 25, 25, 25 and 25 as 100, and that way 100 plus 45 plus 222 as 367 is going to be the manifestation for up till the second phase of chapter. This is one part of the knowledge in terms of sthapatya. But the enlightenment of these two shlokas as such needs to be revisited as TCV values of the words formulations, and then sthapatya referencer of the words, and then the knowledge. What is the knowledge being conveyed? And for that, we have to take up each word. Say, when we are in Shaloka-2, it will tell us Manushya-lok. And word Manushya and lok, it is 14 and it is 29. This is H14 of 29 versions. In this way, we have to correlate and we have to coordinate and we have to chase and we have to apply this knowledge, and then we have to reach at the enlightenment. This as such would mean that this text is to be read number of times, initially for its translation, then for its sthapatya, then for its knowledge, and finally for its enlightenment. We will be taking up these phases of this course. Thank you very much.